Are you trying to get a sale or a customer? I think when you really think about it, we're trying to get a customer, and that's why building rapport is just so key.
Sometimes we do sell ourselves short, or we just assume people know what it is that we do or what we offer. And when we talk about cross selling or other things too, it's like, did you know we also do dot, dot, dot?
Hello, Diva of Insurance.
Hello, Kelly Donahue.
Hello. How are you today?
I'm beautiful. My dog, Tina, came in and said hi this morning. How are you today?
Can't complain, I'm doing good. It's their son. I like that. Their son, and it's the month that we launch our new and improved sales process training.
Ooh, how is Miss America today?
She's always, I mean, the dog lives the best life ever, so I can't, it is what it is. The dog is,
Is she at the doggy daycare place?
oh yeah, dude, she's
Living
she
her
runs,
best life.
living her best life. Yeah, she rests on Sunday the way God intended, and then she goes back to doggy place.
Yay.
So talk about the best salespeople in the world, dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much she can get anything she wants from me.
Some Dougie cuddles and I'll buy it.
And the big eyes.
Yeah.
Only she, only she
So
knew
what
the things she could sell.
so the first thing we're talking about today is building rapport.
Yeah. So our new
Oh.
sales process, our new sales training, we kind of talk about sales strategies, and then we go into what we call kind of our, like 9-step sales process. It might sound like a lot, but we're also talking about like recycling leads. We're talking about kind of overcoming objections. So there's bits and pieces. You'll see it's kind of stacked heavily up front. And I think building rapport. So I was looking at our secret shopper stats. One of the things that I think is really critical is most people treat it like a transaction, right?
Mhm.
So that is definitely not going to get us. So maybe Stephen, you could start by telling us a little bit like why is building rapport so critical for the whole sales process? I think people think like, okay, it's step one and I do it, and then I have to get to the underwriting information, which is really what I need. I don't necessarily need to know about your pets, your kids, your business history.
Well, just like we kind of talked about at the beginning of this, we talked about rapport, right? I mean, like I told you about my dog, I asked about yours. It just kind of creates a better bond and makes it a little friendlier when we can build rapport. People want to do business with people, not with computers. If they wanted to do business with the computer, they would go online and do business with the computer. But
Yeah.
I think what we have proven is people like a hybrid experience. Like they don't mind a form or they don't mind some computer, but they want the advice of a real life person. They want to talk to somebody that they know or that they feel like they can get to know. And I think all of us have had that sales experience where we bought more or spent more because we enjoyed the person we were working with.
Oh my gosh, 110%. I think that we often forget because we're so excited to get the underwriting information and pull up the house or pull up the business and understand all the things that we have an underwriting process, but not a sales process. So we're trying to figure out, is this a good risk? Is this something we can write, especially in the hard market, right? We're almost trying to like disqualify versus qualify sometimes. And I say people buy a person before they buy a policy. So your job becomes easier when the person's relaxed and they find enthusiasm with you and they find a connection. And the most important thing I think about building rapport we don't talk about is it stops people from going and shopping, right? So it's not a scenario where if I'm getting 3 quotes and Steven's one of them, is his job easier or harder if I keep looking for other agents,
So
right?
much harder.
But if I like Steven and he takes up some of my time, by the way, which is another false belief we talk about is people just want to get off the phone. They don't want to spend time. I said, yeah, well, if your process sucks, of course. like I don't want to spend any time with people who aren't gonna like really fuel, like I don't have a good energy with. Of course, I'm gonna
Right.
get off the phone and then I have more time to keep shopping. So by building an enjoyable experience and connecting with people, you're gonna find a way.
And I think that part of that breaking down and having the conversation at the beginning and building rapport, we can get a lot of the information we need.
Absolutely. You
We
hear
just
the
need to
dog,
find out
right?
how we're accessing it, right?
Yeah, we're building a relationship. So there was a quote I saw as I was building out the sales content, which is like, "Are you trying to get a sale or a customer?" I think when you really think about it, we're trying to get a customer, and that's why building rapport is just so key. And if you look, I was looking up the secret shopper stats. So 71% of the agents built no value in themselves. So that means like if I go get 3 quotes, what's the likelihood I remember Steven's name? Not good.
Not, yeah, no,
Yeah, no, not at all.
no. Just forget all about me. It's okay.
And can we talk a little bit about there's a thing I think that happens with insurance sometimes. And there's different types of salespeople. Some people service and sell, some people only sell, some people take inbound, some people go hunt. Like there's all like these different categories of sales and insurance. But I feel like in the hard market, it's almost like the person has to sell us first that they're qualified before we really like open up. It's like, well, how many claims, accidents, tickets, how old's your roof? Like, what's this? It's like, I can't waste my time. Oh, we don't have any markets for you. Like we're trying to find the ways off the phone. And I'm always like, no, 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 no. We have a sales process first and we underwrite second. So even if it takes just 3 minutes of building rapport, you're going to make that person feel better. But if I got interrogated like that, I'd be like, pound sand. Like I'm trying to give you money, people. And I think that that's what we forget is that people have this expectation. The best I'm ever going to be is in a sales process, right? At that initial start. So it only goes down from there. So if you start off by making people identify all these things or jump through hoops, what do they think your service is going to be like?
Same thing.
Annoying.
Yeah.
Now, another way to build a rapport is just explaining what an independent agent is. So 74.76% of the secret shoppers, no one stopped and said, let me tell you what an independent agent is, right? So next time you're at the grocery store, just ask the person, do you know what an independent insurance agent is and see how they look at you.
Or I think the other thing too, because I travel a lot and people are like, what do you do? And I'm like, and I always just say insurance to see what the response is. Because to me, insurance is something totally different than what some other people think. And they'll be like, oh, so you do life insurance? Nope. Or like, I'm an insurance consultant. They're like, oh, so
you do health insurance.
So you do health insurance. You help people with their health insurance. I'm like, nope. But sometimes if you just ask a simple question and wait for a response, it teaches you to be a lot better. So like I now say, oh, well, I travel around the country working with some of the top independent agencies in the nation, helping their teams to become even better. And they're like, what's an independent agent? And I'm like, great question. Let me tell you.
Have I got a deal for you?
Right. So, I mean, I think that sometimes we do sell ourselves short or we just assume people know what it is that we do or what we offer. And when we talk about cross-selling or other things too, it's like, did you know we also do ...
Yeah. So in the secret shopper stats, 21.36% of the agents did build a rapport, which also means that like 78% of them did not.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times we have this false belief that, oh, my team's good at that. They build rapport. And we like to say, hey, you know what? Sometimes we build rapport like through the call, but I like to put it up front so it puts the person at ease. Like, okay, I'm talking to a professional. Like they make me feel like I'm important, not just over the course of it. I think we have to remember we're the least efficient way to get insurance, right? So going through the independent model, 11:30 at night, I can go get a quote on lots of stuff online. I didn't say that we weren't the best because we are. But because we're not efficient, we have to provide the best way to make the client feel good. That's the scenario. It's like people won't remember what they paid for the insurance. They're gonna remember how you made them feel. I will not remember 3 people's names. I'll remember how those agents made me feel. And that's a real key to success. So we have to slow down. And one of the things I know, Stephen, when we do our sales training, we always make people do their personal pitch. This is a simple, normal, like I think I did it in college, right? How do you present yourself? How do you go to a networking event? You were interviewing for a job, like what would you say to yourself? You're at a cookout. And because we're all salespeople, like we have to be able to introduce ourselves, professionally. And what I find is like people have like mass panic attacks about this. Like you're totally fine talking about the customer, but talking about themselves provides like hives. Like they can't handle it.
I can't do it. I can't do it. It's too stressful. What am I supposed to say? Don't they already know me?
Don't they know me? How, like, why can't we just talk about them? And it's like, no.
Let's take a step back. Let's roll it back.
Yeah. So your team needs to have that, and they have to have a way in 2 sentences to explain what the agency does differently, right? What's your value proposition? Because the lead does not know what we don't tell them. So this is why a sales process is so important. And, the OGs fight a sales process. So like what I do is fine. And I'm like, hold up. What if it could be better? Like, how do you know? You've been doing the same thing. And then you pull a recorded phone call. They don't mention what an independent agent is. Like they quote really well, but like the bread of the sandwich is missing. We don't have a beginning, we don't have an end where they ask for the business, but it's a beautiful quote. It's just not a sales process.
When I was in an agency the other day, and one of the people was like, "Oh, hold on a minute," and they're like, "So and so agency, how can I help you?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm looking for an auto quote." They're like, "Great, let's get started. What's the VIN? What's the make? What's the model?" And they're like asking all the questions. And at the end, they provide the quote, and the person's like, "Okay, I'll call you if I want it." And they're like, "Okay, let me know." So what did we just do here? Like, there was nothing personal about this. We could have had a little robot do this whole transaction, and that's not what people are looking for.
Well, what I want to challenge everybody to think about is, you go to a restaurant and the person comes up and says, "What can I get you to drink?" And then they get you your drinks. "Okay, do you know what you want for dinner?" And like you have an entire, I don't know, maybe 5 sentences with the person. Cause this happens all the time, by the way, if you really, really look into it. Like you really deal with it. And like even the other day, like I gave an Instacarter a 5-star review because she complimented me on like our American flag. She's like, "It was so refreshing to see." And I was like, "Thank you." But how many times do you go out and it's just like a transaction? And by the way, like when that happens, like we're not inspired to stay for another drink or
Mm-mm.
anything. Like when the person comes over, we just keep talking like they don't exist, which you could argue is rude.
Yeah.
But if that person stops and says, "Hi, my name is Kelly. I'll be your server today. How's your night going? Are you guys celebrating anything tonight?" Then all of a sudden you get like excited. And then they're like, "Hey, you know what? The bartender makes the best XYZ." Now I'm engaged, right? Like I'm like, "Cool. Like that sounds great. Like let's do it." Where if it's just transactional, like I don't give them as big of a tip and I don't stay as long and do some of the other upsells. And I think we need to really straighten that out in our heads that this is important. I think we also need to not assume we do it, but listen to a recorded phone call or write down these things or buy our course and you'll get the checklist of how to build rapport so that next time you're in a sales call, be like, "Did I do these things? Did I use their name? Did I do these things?" We all think we do, but when we really have to have that like step on the scale, look in the mirror, we do sometimes, probably when that spark happens instantaneously at the beginning of a sales call.
Well, and I pulled a bunch of shopper calls and rewatched the videos just to
Mhm.
just be like, what does the average experience look like? And out of all of them, I found one good one. I think I watched 8 of them. And there
Yeah.
was one good one where the person was like, we started talking. He asked what I was doing, why I was shopping. And I told him that we're moving to the area. He asked if we already had picked out a house or had a realtor. He
Yeah.
said if he was going to reach out to his realtor, just see if there was any inside information on the house,
Love it.
blah, blah, blah. And then he asked about kids and, told us how great the school district was, just talked for a second about his kids, and then it flashed forward a couple of minutes, and she was like, "Would I buy insurance from this person? Absolutely. Like, they were amazing to talk to. I feel like I know them." But the other 9 were like, "Well, I never got a call back," or, "Well, I talked to somebody and it was okay." Like, could I remember who I talked to only because I wrote their name down because I had to?
So we need to do better. And so, Stephen, tell us a little bit like this course that we're creating, right? So, how can this invest in your sales team? Because for me, I want everybody following a process, which means we have a beautiful either quote sheet for commercial, personal lines, or farm that has your rapport building up front. So it's like check, check, check. The Thursday at 3:30 moment where my brain is dead and I don't have any gas in the tank. Just need to ask the next question. And then what that does is it structures the agency to have a uniform process, right?
Right.
And the second thing is if you're quoting over the phone, which we love, a little harder in a hard market, but love still where possible. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, still can happen. You would still need to have some side hustle things like how'd you hear about us? So we have a separate sheet that they can use if they are practicing quoting over the phone. But ex chief operating officer of an agency, how would you get people to follow a sales process when they think they know everything?
It was just consistent training and setting expectations. So it was, "Okay, great. Here's what we were supposed to do. Why didn't it happen on this call?" Like I would monitor with them, but I would also say, "Hey, like each week, pull your best call, the most amazing sales call you had, and pull one that you think was maybe questionable or you could have done better on." And we just kind of worked through it and listened for the highlights and low points and talked through it, because I think the consistency is really where it gets better. And as we went through and set the expectation with everybody, and everybody started offering a similar experience, it got a lot easier for the team as a whole.
Yeah,
But then
absolutely.
everybody was on the same page. It's just like setting standards for an agency. One person's not offering X while the other one's offering Y.
Love it. I love it. So if anybody wants to grab our course, it's on sale. You can pre-order it, or April 15th it launches. It's $4.95, or you can subscribe to our school. So this is one of the unique ones where once a year we only do this. You can only buy this course as a standalone course in 2 weeks. After that, it goes only into our subscription. It's one of our signature programs that we do live with agencies. So make sure you hop on the bandwagon and get that, because in a hard market, I feel like our sales skills have to get increased so that we can still take on new business when maybe the market conditions are a little crazy. So any final thoughts, Stephen?
I think that we just need to be kinder, be clear in what it is we need, and think about how you would like the experience to be if you were calling. What is it you wouldn't know? Can you take the step back and look at it from the outside and let's just make it a warm experience for the client?
I love
I
it.
want to be the one everybody remembers.
Yes. And you, by the way, even if they don't buy from you, they'll come back next year. They'll be like, oh, Stephen, yeah, let's give it another shot. Right. So you're putting a whole lot out there. And again, it doesn't take very long. It's a very concise process when you get it down. All right. Thanks, Stephen, for your insight and wisdom as always.
Thank you, Kelly.